Parry, majority leader, and the entire leadership of Parliament. Minianom Emrashe Bedrafo, majority caucus. Me percent me fa kwenye so epamu nyina chew. Maybe a tremu. And ye be a free me ho ebaye. Some sira mo say, and yanni da home, and then yet my dream on another cine p. Says Sabi, with the morning betray form. And near my baby, Nana air costo, I want my brabum, and in my busium. The fra upon ye shooting and coupon din ceremony. The regional executive, Greater Accra, the constituency executives, our chairman Bones to Edda Anu, the headquarters of New Patriotic Party, the general secretary, any national chairman, any Wapanfunina, the Pamunina Cho, supporters, sympathizers, Amunina Modo Party, no, Namodomi, a Wabishi Mukesie, a Wayan Pesia Nimuno, the Pamunina Cho, near Sibia, Monfami Bonnie and Chemi. Sabin Pennyfo baby says, so ba a Jan and I go on Nasua, Yin Tranchene, Nasabe, Yepepa. Nia baby, Yankupon Sremunina, Midinde, Adwoa Safo, Mache Begania, Midina or Edema or Manfo, a word Domiquadia, Yankupon Sremunina.
Good evening, welcome to this edition of the program. Thank you very much for your time. We have so much again to do today. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you indulge us on this show, and you pay attention to some of the things that we're saying, and we are delighted that you do. Good evening, welcome to the show. So that was Sarah Adwoa Safo opening the show for us this evening. This afternoon, she released this video. I'm not sure when it was recorded, but she released it this afternoon. And she seemed to be rendering an apology. She mentions the objects of the apology. The destination of her apologetic comment is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, Vice President, Fremo Parry, etc. Now, this has generated some debate in her constituency and generally among political watchers. She didn't say in the video that she was running for Parliament again. She didn't say that. She just said that she's apologizing for whatever had happened. It would also appear that her apology is being interrogated. What are you apologizing for? What has happened? Because she said things were happening in her family and in her personal life, which we respect. We respect the privacy of her family affair and her personal life, even though she's a public material because a member of Parliament. We do respect her when she says that this is private, I cannot disclose. So we understand that. But she should at least have said what she's apologizing for. She categorized it broadly to say that whatever she may have done. But what did she do to President Akufo-Addo? What did she do to the Vice President? Maybe she did something to the parliamentary group. Well, by extension, perhaps that affects the President and the Vice President too. But for people who have been looking at this matter, it doesn't seem to me that Adwoa Safo still has a chance, an opportunity to be the Member of Parliament. And if you listen to radio this evening, especially, I listened to it on CTFM and Joy FM, the constituents who were interviewed seemed very, very clear that they've turned that corner already. It would appear that they've given up on her already before her apology comes. They consider her as their Member of Parliament right now. Do they want her to represent them again as a Member of Parliament in the future? It's unlikely that they are looking for Adwoa Safo again. But to be fair to Adwoa Safo, she didn't say that she's doing this video, rendering this apology to pave way for her to contest as Member of Parliament for Domiko Abenya in the 9th Parliament. She didn't say that. It looks quite obvious that Domiko Abenya is looking at Michael Okwe Jr. They call him Gabo. It looks quite obvious. Domiko Abenya is looking at Michael Okwe Jr. It looks like they're looking at Gabo, the old boy from Odadie. He's served the constituency very, very well. He served the constituency when his father was a Member of Parliament. He's run for primaries twice. In the last primaries, he lost by 8. So many things were said about that primaries. Michael Okwe Jr. could have given the party run for their money. He could have gone to court. He could have disturbed the process. He could have made noise. He didn't. He accepted a defeat of 8 people out of nearly 400 people who voted. They said 8 people had differentiated between him and Adwoa Safo, when he has come second. And it's not good enough. Adwoa Safo is going to be on the ballot. During the campaign 2020, Michael Oquaye was on the ground again, spending money, spending time, supporting the constituency. It looks very certain that the people of Dominic-Kwabena, at least within the MPP, are united on Michael Oquaye's candidature. And they are willing to move forward that way, it appears. Adwoa Safo's statement is welcome, very, very welcome. And people are happy that she has spoken this way, and she's come to a certain realization about her contribution to the parliamentary work and the ministerial work has showed a lot of deficit and a lack of commitment to the cause. So if she's apologizing today that I have not showed commitment to the cause, I have showed a bit of a betrayal, I'm sorry about it, fair enough. Could it be? I was going back to the 9th of January 7, 2021, in terms of the voting for the speaker, but I won't say it. I won't say it. It's okay. Apology has been rendered. Let's take it like that. But I don't think that she's looking at Dominic-Kwabena anymore, because if you look at everything that has happened, the people in Dominic-Kwabena appear to have made a mental note. They've made a mental note that they are going to vote for Aaron Michael Oquaye Jr. Michael Oquaye, he's not called Aaron. Aaron is the former speaker, the old professor. This is Michael Oquaye Jr. Michael Oquaye is Gabo, as they call him. He's currently the chief executive officer of the Free Zones Board. And he had even had occasion to serve Ghana abroad for 4.5 years or so. He was Ghana's High Commissioner in New Delhi, India. And he is reported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs people that he did a fantastic job. So far at Free Zones, he's keeping Free Zones above water. And that's quite commendable. In the circumstances, it would appear that the people in Dominic-Kwabena are going straight for Michael Oquaye Jr. Okay, so that's a story that came up later tonight. We are participating in the conversation about cocoa politics. So the NDC held a press conference in the thick forest in the Bono region, I should say, and they explained to cocoa farmers that whatever that the government is giving you, you can get more. So it is stories like a people who are subjects of a crown, and they are working, and they know that they've been working with a government. They work with many governments. They understand it. The alarm bells ring, and they hear that we're going to get an increase in producer price, an unprecedented increase in producer price. They are quite excited that, oh yes, we are getting an unprecedented increase in producer price. I think politicians in the regions, in the hinterlands, report back to the center and say, hey, be careful. Your people have come to tell them about some cocoa price, and they are too excited. So they go in and say, listen. No, don't jubilate. Whatever you are getting, you could have gotten more. In fact, if we were in power, we'll give you more. Why? Because look at the price. So price disparity, price conversation, cocoa board issues. We have a full analysis on that one for you tonight. It will be our second story. Our first story, though, will take us back to Attachers Committee, where Minister of National Security, Albert Kandapa, appeared before the committee yesterday in camera. What happened? Why was the testimony that short? What happened? Okay. Now, the meetings have been adjourned until the first week in October, and Bugri Nabu has reappeared with another tape, we understand. He has reappeared with the committee and submitted another tape. That's what we understand. Okay. It's 29 minutes at the top of there at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, we will set out straight away and start with the Bugri Nabu story, and also the police Dampare story. Later on, we will get to the cocoa story. Okay, so many reactions have happened since our last conversation with about Dr. Dampare. Many conversations. I've had phone calls. Some of my people have had phone calls. Some of my friends have had phone calls, and they are all asking the simple question about but what do you? Well, we saw some people like it, something that it could have been better, but their concern is that where is this going? Where is this leading on to? So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to show you where this could lead in the eventual conclusion. I saw a Facebook post by Franklin Kujo that made a lot of sense. He said that prices are expensive, this is that, and we are wasting time about police gossip on some tape. That's okay too, but it's also okay to build institutions of state. So if there's something that this opportunity would help us to restructure the police in a way that will serve Ghana for the next 1,000 years, we by all means should. And if we're able to do that, the generation will be isolated for praise that it was this generation that set out our police the way that it should be. So, Franklin, it's not altogether unnecessary. It might be very useful for us to set the agenda. Good evening, Dr. Dampare. Now, I'd like to take you back, viewers, as we do the second episode of the Dampare analysis, to the memorandum. Is it a memorandum? It was a statement that was made in Parliament by the Deputy Minority Leader, my good friend Ama Kofi Boa, the Member of Parliament for Elembele, who read this to the Parliament. It appeared that this statement was adopted by the Speaker in most of its great detail, to the point where the terms of reference of the committee, it actually appears to have been gleaned from Ama Kofi Boa's statement on the floor of the House. Now let's go into the statement and find out some of the things he said and how the committee is supposed to be set out. And then we'll come back to the committee's hearings and we'll deal with it. Ama Kofi Boa said as follows. He was talking to the Speaker. He said the plot claims the existence of a supposed rift between the current Inspector General of Police and officers of the Ghana Armed Forces, claiming that the IGP's determination to arrest some errant army commanders, I don't know what that means, has allegedly led to strained relations between the state's security agencies. Army commander is only one person. Only one person is called army commander. That is the commander of the army. He is usually of the rank of a major general. It's one person. But when he says army commanders, he says there has been arrest of errant army commanders. I'm not so sure about that and what the committee is going to do about this part of the statement. Errant army commanders have been arrested by police. His determination to arrest, that the IGP arrest army commanders? What did they do? What could they have done? What is in this statement? What are army commanders doing? Well, I guess by army commanders, he means maybe the top brass of the Ghana Armed Forces, maybe. Because the top brass of the Ghana Armed Forces, if you look at the appointment hierarchy, you have the Chief of Defense Staff who sits at the top. You have the service commanders, and there are only three of them. Sometimes there's a fourth one, I'll explain. So there are three service commanders: Navy commander, the Army commander, and the Air Force commander. These are the three service commanders in terms of the top brass of the armed forces. And then you have other major generals who may be the institutions of training, Kofi Annan, Ghana Military Academy, all of them. They put together. There's two major generals over there. One major general of what they call the Staff College, Ghana Armed Forces Training something. That's major general. And then we now have the Kofi Annan training, so that's another major general. So in terms of the hierarchy, the institutions of training have been sort of divided into two. You have the old, what they call the GAFC is there, is major general. And then there's the Kofi Annan also has a major general. Then you come down from the service commanders. You're looking at the, what they call in the past, brigade commanders. So you have, now they have Southern Command and Northern Command. And the Support Services Command, that's a third one. So you have Southern Command, Northern Command, Support Services Command, that's another level of command. So they come down to brigadier generals. They are usually brigadier generals. And then in the headquarters, you have a lot of staff. The Chief of Staff, Army Headquarters, Chief of Staff, Air Force Headquarters, Chief of Staff, Navy Headquarters, they are all brigadier generals. And then from there, you are coming down to the battalion commanders, squadron leaders, and all of that. So the hierarchy of the military from the rank of lieutenant colonel is very different, many people. The minority leader alleges that army commanders were errant and the IGP was determined to arrest them. As a result of that, there has been strained relations at the security agencies. He continues, if these matters are not thoroughly investigated, and they should be investigated, and the truth uncovered, then, Mr. Speaker, I humbly submit that the security of the state will be at risk of being compromised. Mr. Speaker, the confessions of this unnamed senior police officer confirm entrenched politicization of our security agencies under the current government. Please get me a photograph of Bugri Nabu. They should get it ready here because I'm going to him next. The tape uncovers a treasonable agenda to subvert the authority of the current Inspector General of Police. The President of the Republic, who appointed him, and, by extension, the authority of the state. The minority is alleging that the contents of the tape uncovers a treasonable agenda, treason, he says, to subvert the authority of the Inspector General of Police, the president who appointed him, and the authority of the state. It goes on. These are not matters that must be taken lightly by this House, because they border on the security of the state and the very sanctity of our democracy, which is anchored on free, fair, and transparent elections. It is against this backdrop, Mr. Speaker, that I submit this statement for your kind attention, seeking to invoke the appropriate standing orders of the House and other relevant legislation for a bipartisan investigation, either by a special committee of the House or the Committee on Defense and Interior, into this all-important matter. The terms of reference of the investigations will be to establish the following. A, the authenticity of the leaked tape audio recording. 2, investigate the conspiracy to remove the current Inspector General of Police. 3, investigate other grave matters contained in the audio recording. 4, recommend sanctions. And I'll come back to the 4, so please let's keep our eye on it. Recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate. Make recommendations for reforms where necessary. Make such other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate. Right, Honorable Speaker, I hereby submit for your kind consideration. It's going to be an interesting constitutional affair. Parliament is the legislative authority, the arm of government that makes laws. The executive is led by the president. The police are part of the executive. I'm not so sure whether an independent member's bill can prefer an act to restructure the police one way or the other. The police are mentioned in the 1992 Constitution. They are a creature of state, a creature of the Constitution. So the point I'm making, viewers, is that you can make all the recommendations, but you have to be making the recommendations to the head of the executive. And he can decide whether he wants to take the recommendation or not. So if you consider it within that context, you begin to look at the entire parliamentary inquiry, whether it should be couched in a certain way. This is a pure academic constitutional argument, and tonight we'll be having a few academic arguments because we're going to discuss the spate of coups in West Africa with the background of constitutional law. So we're going to make a lot of academic arguments tonight, so get ready for it. It's a Thursday, and so we are not very, very hard. Now, if you make all these recommendations, the 1992 Constitution gives the president the power to run the executive affairs of state. You can only fault the president if he's running counter to law. And then you can go to the Supreme Court and tell the Supreme Court that the president has taken this action, it's counter to the law, and therefore the Supreme Court will have the power to interpret it. But in terms of all of these recommendations to investigate the grave matters, you can investigate it. To recommend sanctions, who are they going to be recommending the sanctions to? Who is Parliament going to be recommending the sanctions to in clause 4 of the terms of reference of the committee? These are matters that we'll be looking at as time goes on. But for today, we will start with that. Now, let's go to the questions that we have. The reason why we are on this tangent. They'll put it on very quickly and then you get, let's go to the questions. Okay. The questions to ask. 1, leaked tape was doctored exactly as COP George Mensah and others testified. That's a question we're asking. The leaked tape, what came to the general public in the leaked tape? Was it doctored? Was it sort of edited? Doctored maybe alleging a crime, but was it edited and sent to the general public? So this is our concern. Our primary concern is that the Inspector General of Police, can you have Dr. Dampare's photograph back over there? The Inspector General of Police, as Dr. Dampare as he is an intelligence officer. In fact, he's a foremost intelligence officer in this country. He can decide to conduct his investigations anyhow he wants to do it. We don't have no problem with that. No one can reasonably have a problem with that. IGP says, I want to tape you. So I put a recorder under your car. I sneak the recorder under your car. I put a recorder in Bugri Nabu's office and you people went to speak and I got it. He can do that. No committee, nowhere can find anything wrong if Dr. Dampare conducted the recording himself. He's an intelligence officer. It's one of the ways in which they gather intelligence. So he can do that. Now, when he obtains that recording and he reviews it, where our problem starts and where we hope the committee will be looking at is what did he do with the recording once he got hold of it? Dr. Dampare has already given testimony to the committee, says he doesn't have the record, he didn't get it, it wasn't given to him, he didn't have any hold of it, all that. Fair enough, that's what he says. I'm saying that even if he told the committee that, yes, I did the recording, I asked Buki Nabu to record it for me, it's part of my intelligence gathering processes, the committee cannot fault him for that. The committee cannot say anything about it. That is the intelligence officer's way to gather intelligence. He has not violated anybody's rights because he's gathering intelligence. And the persons who were being taped, they are also intelligence officers who must have a certain code of conduct or who must respond, obey a certain code of conduct. So in recording the matter, he hasn't done anything wrong. However, if the recording comes to his hand after the recording processes, what he does with the recording, if he had one, is the issue. Because if he gets a recording like that, he's a member of the National Security Council, Dr. Dampare, as IGP. He is a member of the National Security Council. It's chaired by the president. So he can send that to the president and say, boss, look, these are the people who are planning to undermine me. This is the evidence of the tape. I hand it over to you to make your decision. President may come to National Security Council and say, the IGP has brought me some information. I have handed it over to the Minister for National Security for his assessment and report. And it can go on like that. General public wouldn't have heard. All would have heard one day was that COP this, Superintendent this, suspended from the Ghana Police Service after an internal disciplinary mechanism. They have been removed from the police service. We wouldn't have been told what they did. Some police people will know, rumors will filter around, but officially, we wouldn't have been told what they did. There would have been no business in Parliament for minority leaders to be raising issues, for a committee to do something about police, which is part of the executive, and now the recommendations may have to go to the president, because if the recommendations go to the speaker cannot do anything. He is the head of the legislature. The constitution doesn't give him any power over police. The power of the police is granted to the president and the vice president. So these recommendations that they are doing, I don't know where they are going to recommend to. Unfortunately, we have not seen journalists ask that question. But journalists, please, ask the chairman of the committee that under the 1992 constitution, these are your recommendations. Where is it going? Is it going to the speaker? If it goes to the speaker, what will the speaker do? Or are you asking the speaker to send it to the president? Because it is the president, only him, who can make a decision on especially recommendation 4, to recommend sanctions. You can recommend it to the president. He says, well, every day when he's doing the police, he doesn't come to Parliament for advice. The Constitution didn't say that when he's appointing IGP, he should come to Parliament for advice. Where the Constitution wanted him to do his appointments with Parliament, it said so. Article 78 and 79. It's clear. And many other articles in the Constitution. It is very clear that when the Constitution wants to tell the president that this is your power, you share it with Parliament, it says so. So Article 78, President shall appoint ministers of state with the prior approval of Parliament. It's there. With the prior approval of Parliament. That is why he appoints a minister, sends him to Parliament. Parliament will come back to him and say, this your minister has passed. In the case of the IGP, the president has no such responsibility. The Constitution doesn't give him any such limitation. He appoints the IGP by himself. So if you go and sit and have a legislative conversation about IGP and you recommend it to him, what should he do? He can decide what he wants to do. So that's a problem. Constitutional. We'll deal with that later. But then, if Dr. Dampare then gets that recording, and he doesn't give it to National Security, he doesn't give it to Interior Minister, he doesn't give it to National Security Minister, he doesn't call his internal police people and deal with it, which he can. He can also do that. He can send it to a disciplinary committee of the police council. They'll deal with it. Now, if he doesn't do all that, but then the tape finds its way into media, then whoever leaked the tape, if that person is part of the intelligence fabric, then that person should be in trouble. If it is the IGP himself who leaked the tape, then he has questions to answer. Grave and fundamental questions to answer. Because then he will be sabotaging the security apparatus that he represents. If he obtained the recording, facilitated, participated, was aware or ought to have been aware that these tapes were going to be doctored and leaked to media, then he would have questions to answer. I don't know whether he participated. Now, we are hearing some news that is not very, very interesting. It is saying to us that the committee that is sitting in Parliament has hit a snag with one of his important witnesses. This all-important witness showed up at the committee and said, I have the information, it is here, but I do not feel that I should release it to the committee. That has happened at the committee. Very, very important witness. Very sensitive witness. Says, I have the information. There's suspicion that the information contained in his document is far-reaching, one way or the other. Very far-reaching. Now, that information contained in the document, he has told the committee that he's unable to release it. This evening, I was with some group of lawyers and they were discussing what can be done about a situation like that. They were grappling through their constitution, whether they can a subpoena, because the Speaker's Committee has the powers to subpoena and has the powers to compel you to attend. Do they also have the powers to compel you to speak and to tender documents? I don't know. The lawyers were thinking about it, whether there should be an application to the Supreme Court, one way or the other. But that has happened at the committee, that one of the principal witnesses, one of the most important witnesses, who has all the information, very important information, because this witness was part of a team that has carried out some investigation before the parliament sitting about the same matter. So he is being asked that, having carried out the information, what did you find? He says, I won't tell you. That's what we are hearing. We hope that is not true. We hope that what we are hearing is not true. But we'll keep looking at it and bring it to you viewers when we get the information. But we sincerely hope that this is not true. But if it is true, it means the committee has hit a snag. Now, Ambassador Bugri Nabu, my good friend, hi Bugri, Yayade. He's a very interesting man. I love him, man. This guy is cool. Okay, so Bugri Nabu has showed up at the committee and presented another tip. Yeah, I'm telling you this. Maybe you're hearing it for the first time, but please believe it because it's true. Bugri Nabu has showed up at the committee and presented another tape. So, assuming that the first tape is 15 minutes, because I haven't seen the tape, I've heard it on my phone. Somebody sent it to me. Assuming the first tape is 15 minutes, this one is 1 hour and more. So, this is a longer tape. You would remember that during his testimony, COP Alex Mensah is reported to have said that they spoke about a lot of things on the tape in terms of things that have been happening in the police and all of that. Alex Mensah is reported to have said that. But the tape that came out was arranged in such a way that it will present a certain narrative. In fact, Alex Mensah says that some of the things on the tape were not said in the chronology that the tape presents. So I say that I will slap Amma tomorrow if she comes here. And then we continue with the conversation. I want to eat KNK. I'm going to Labadi. I have a football match to watch in Medina. Then I said that, I suspect that Adwoa, who sits in your office, is NDC. I suspect she's NDC. Then the tape comes and says, I will slap Amma. I suspect she's NDC. That's what Alex Mensah is saying, that the tape we are hearing, that's what it is. The things that we are hearing were not said in the chronology that the tape presents it. So the tape has been edited to present a certain picture to the general public that somebody is protecting democracy and somebody is against democracy. Who and whom would have interest in this tape being leaked? That's part of legal inquiry all the time. In criminal processes, they check. Whose interest will this be? If they find that you could have an interest, then the law is looking at you more stronger in terms of culpability. So who would have an interest in this tape? The tape presents a narrative that somebody likes democracy, some people don't want democracy. Somebody wants a free and fair election, some people don't want a free and fair election. That's the narrative that the tape presents. So if that narrative has been concocted and put together, pieced together to support a certain direction, who and whom have demonstrated that they could have an interest in this tape getting out into the media. So that's the point of our conversation, that IGP can actually do all the things that he wants to do, but in terms of intelligence gathering, he can do anything he wants. He can do it anyhow. He can come to my house, and that's why he's an IGP. He doesn't need court warrant. He can come to my house and search it. He can just enter and say, open, I have to search your house. This is IGP. I would have to allow him to search. We are all subservient to the laws of Ghana. He represents and is an embodiment of the law and stability of Ghana. So he can do that. What he does with the recording, that's where I'm hoping the committee will have a thorough investigation during the in-camera situation. What did Dr. Dampari do with the recording? In fact, I can't even ask that question because Dr. Dampari says he doesn't have it, that he didn't have it. Bugri Nabu, on the other hand, says that he gave the tape, he was preparing the recording to give it to the president, and therefore he has given it to the president. But today, or yesterday, he has brought another tape. So the committee will need to look at that tape in some detail, and then let's find out what it is. We have to be bringing this part of our conversation to an end, because the cocoa story is the real big one that we are coming to now. Oh yes, very important. They put this there for me. Very, very important. So this is the last segment. Okay. So these are the committee members. Samuel Atacha is the leader of the committee, the chairman. He's New Patriotic Party. James Agalga is a former minister for the interior. He's vice chairman. He's National Democratic Congress. Peter Tobu is a police officer, former police officer. He was the AD camp to the former IGP, so he understands IGP things. He is NDC. Patrick Yabuama, opinion, he is MPP. And this lady too is MPP. So I think 1, 2, 3. Are there 7 in number? There should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Somebody is secretary. There should be 6, isn't it? Are there not 6? Are there 7? There are 7. So do you have 4 MPP? Please, can you answer that question for me quickly? Okay, there are 4 MPP. All right. So MPP correct. Listen to him and tell me. MPP correct. MPP correct. MPP correct. Who's the 4th MPP? Is it Eric Opoku? All right. Okay. So these are the committee members. I'll get back to the story in a minute. These are the committee members. Attached chairs. Now they will have a job to do. Already you saw some issues. Assuming they have finished their work and there's disagreement, and you shouldn't put that out of the question. Assuming they finish their work and there's disagreement, they may not get a unanimous report for the House. So this is a committee of the House. What they do is that they finish their work. If they have a unanimous report, they'll recommend it to the House. The House will pass a voice vote on a unanimous report, and that's it. But if they don't have a unanimous report, the House may have to take a vote on it. So if they finish this work, and half of them say IGP is blue, Mensah, George Alex Mensah is red, and Superintendent Asare is white. So chairman of the committee says, we finish the work. IGP blue, Asare red, Superintendent white, Bugi Nabu indigo. And James Agaga says, no. IGP is not blue, he's red. Mensah is rather blue. And for me, Bugi Nabu is green, he's not indigo. And Alex Mensah is yellow, he's not white. If that happens, they will have to send that report to the House. And the House would have to debate the report. The House will debate the report, I can assure you, if that happens, the House will debate the report and vote according to what Atacha said. So if Atacha said IGP is blue, George Mensah is red, and Superintendent Asare is white, and Bugi Nabu is indigo, when the vote is put in Parliament, MPP will vote according to what Atacha has said. My suspicion is that NDC will vote according to what James Agaga says. So you are going to have this 137. That's what you're going to have. When you have that circumstance where you are president of Ghana and your IGP and some people have had an issue, and Parliament has done an investigation on it, and Parliament has a recommendation for you, and the recommendation is split like this, what will a president do? Assuming, without admitting, that these people are saying that, oh, the IGP is culpable, so something must happen, he must take a break, or he must go on leave, or something like that. And you have the minority in Parliament supporting your Inspector General of Police that he won't go on any leave. You can't send the IGP on leave. You are president. You have appointed an IGP. Under the Constitution, you don't talk to Parliament when you're appointed. The Parliament has no role in anything when you're appointing an IGP. That's what the Constitution said. It's not me, it's not the president, it's not President Mahama, it's not President Kufuor, it's not President Rawlings, it's not Nana Akufo-Addo, it's the National Constitution. That said, when the president is doing IGP work, Parliament, you are out. When the president is doing minister work, Parliament, you are inside. When the president is doing judges work, the famous judges work, President, you are at Parliament, you are inside. The president cannot appoint a chief justice without Parliament. But in the case of the police, the Constitution allows the president to deal with the police. So moto, as they say in law. So moto, by himself, only him. So moto. The other one is Mary Moto. All of us is Mary Moto. It's Latin. So Moto is one person, president by himself. Now, if you are president and this comes out, your guy says, Mr. President, from everything that we saw, I think that the IGP must take a leave so that we can look at a few things. Just 2 months leave, 1 month leave, whatever is due him. We think that Superintendent George Alex Mensah must be allowed to leave the police, but he must be a consultant to the Minister for Interior. We think that Superintendent Asare must be promoted to the rank of DCOP and must be sent out of Accra. And then you have the opposition say that, no. George Alex Mensah there, he has to go to fire, they have to fire him and send him somewhere. He's the one who is saying that his MPP must win a Senate. No, he has to go. IGP is good. You can't take him on leave. You have to keep him there. That's being said by opposition people. And you are in an election process. You are a year to election. 12 months, you are in an election. What will you do as president? It would appear that this is where the committee is going. With the way you are seeing the thing, with what we are hearing today, somebody goes to the committee and says, I won't speak. I have the information, but I won't speak. It's a senior member of the intelligence community. What do you do with that? Another person is going to come and say that the thing that the senior member of the intelligence committee didn't tell you, I know it. It is this, it is that, it is that. It's in his report. He should bring it. We may find the committee to subpoena the report of the intelligence officer to deliver it to the committee so it can assist their work. It's in camera. He has nothing to fear. It's in camera. The whole Ghana will not be told. Some people will hear eventually, but the whole Ghana will not see it on television. And all of these things are going to go on. The committee has been adjourned till the first week of October, where they are going to have cross-examination. Is going to be fierce. And very soon, Ghanaians are going to be waiting for the report. So if the report comes that way, they go and vote this way, what will you do if you were president of Ghana? Okay, final part. Let's go back to the committee on Tuesday. Dr. Dampare answering questions about his relationship with Bugri Nabu. Let's see it.
Please, can you tell this committee whether you've met him one-on-one before? And if that is so, when was the last time you met Chief Bugri Nabu? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I can say I might have met him one or twice to the best of my recollection. And the last time I met him, if by my raw calculation, to be more than 8 months or thereabout.
Inspector General, please. Your physical contacts may be few. What about your telephone engagements?
The telephone engagement is along the same line as the physical contact.
So you saw that. He said he was asked whether he's seen Bugri Nabu, and he said he's not seen him in about more than 8 months. The chairman of the committee asked that, what about telephone? Have you spoken to him? And he said the telephone contact is about the same as the physical contact. So that he has not spoken to Bugri Nabu, nor seen him in more than 8 months ago. That's what Dr. Dampare told the committee. There's this video that we really cannot vouch for its authenticity as such, but it's of high public interest. So we'll play it for you. This is Bugri Nabu speaking. Let's have a look.
Was it Ben Kofi? Ben Kofi. The contract was awarded to Ben Kofi, and Ben Kofi gave the contract to him. So it is not the contract me and him we know about IGP giving him the contract. That contract didn't come. Look at what they are telling me now. So this particular contract, the job was given to Ben Kofi, and Ben Kofi also intend subletting it to him. So I say now. So tell me, are you still bringing any money for me to give to the boys, or what? Because you said you got some calls from even vice president of people to call you. Me, I don't know how they get your number. But me, I called them. I called your sister. Your sister told me the contract was ready. They are now going to production. Now, I went to IG to see the contract was completed. If you don't want trouble, bring the money for me to take to the courts. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee you the problem can come. So he told me that today is Monday. He said today you're going to meet Ben Kofi, the person the contract was awarded to. They'll discuss it and see they can get some money. So it's not even a conclusion.
Okay, 3 minutes past the top of that 10 o'clock. So, COP Dr. Dampare, the IGP, says, do you know Bugri Nabu? No, I don't know him. But I have seen him. Was the last time you saw him? 8 months ago. When you say 8 months ago, do you mean physical or telephone engagement? He says, whether physical or telephone engagements is 8 months ago. Bugri Nabu says a few things. First, he seems to say that he knows the IGP. He said twice in that conversation, IG told me that he has given the contract to you and I gave it to your sister. We don't want to mention everybody's name, but we know who the IGP is talking to. We are very clear. We know who it is, but we don't want to mention it. Because it's a private man doing his private business. You don't come on TV and say he was talking to this person, that person. It's not important. So we won't say it. Now, he says, I will go back to IG and tell him that you didn't give me any contract. So if the IGP is being truthful to us, he has no dealings with Bugri Nabu. Is it true? Is that believable? That he has no dealings with Bugri Nabu? Is Bugri Nabu telling us a lie, a joke? Is he joking with everybody? Who should we believe? If the two of them face each other in cross-examination, and Bugri Nabu says, oh, but COP, you know me. I came to your office. You promised to give me a contract. You said that I can't do the contract, so I should find somebody else. You found somebody else, or I found somebody else. It is this man's sister, and his sister is doing the contracts, and you told me that you get money from the contract for me so that I look after the boys who have helped all of us. Now the money comes, I'm expecting X amount of money, and W comes. And the people want to cheat me, and now look at what they are saying. This is the testimony of Bugri Nabu. Should we believe it? Should we? I don't know. It's up to viewers. Our responsibility is to give you the set of facts, and then you can make your own conclusions out of it. But if you have to make a cursory appreciation of the whole document in terms of the video document, you will find. Let's listen to IGP again, just again, the last bit. We'll listen to IGP, listen to Bugri Nabu. I won't say anything about it. The rest you can say in text. Let's listen to IGP again.
If that is so, please can you tell this committee whether you've met him one-on-one before? And if that is so, when was the last time you met Chief Bugri Nabu? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I can say I might have met him one or twice to the best of my recollection. And the last time I met him, if by my raw calculation, to be more than 8 months or thereabout.
Inspector General of Police, your physical contacts may be few. What about your telephone engagements?
The telephone engagement is along the same line as the physical contact.
And you see, these inquiries, these parliament things, and I said it last Tuesday, I've covered parliamentary sessional address, parliamentary vets and appointment committee processes forever. When they ask you questions, they already know the answer. They are just testing for the believability quotient and the truth deficit. Those are the things they are looking for. Whether it's in England, it's America, it's everywhere we see public inquiry, they already know the answer. So when you go and they say, Mr. Adumoche, how many times do you do Good Evening Ghana a week? They already know. They already know. Then I say, Mr. Chairman, I do Good Evening Ghana 4 times a week. Did you say you do Good Evening Ghana 4 times a week? I will say, yes. Then which day and which day? And I say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, Mr. Adomache, for clarifications, you do Good Evening Ghana 4 times a week, correct? Yes, my Lord, Mr. Chairman, correct. They won't say anything. They don't say anything. They just laugh in their head. Look at this guy. They don't say anything. So when you go to a committee and you ask questions like that, it is advisable for the lawyers to advise that don't give calculated answer 8 months. When was the last time you saw Bugin Abu, Mr. Chairman? I can't remember. I've seen him before, but I really can't remember the last time I saw him. That's fine. Now you say 8 months. Did you speak to him? And you know, phone is verifiable. Bugin Abu has a phone, and it is verifiable. For all you know, since Bugin Abu's encounter in national security, they've pulled all that out. They know how many times he's spoken to me. They know how many times he's spoken to Andy. Andy knows who he is. Andy also in Kumasi. They know how many times Bugin Abu has spoken to Andy. They know Andy called me and was trying to organize a meeting between myself and Bugin Abu. They know because they will see it. Once Bugin Abu is a subject of their investigation, they will dance around everything Bugin Abu. All those who call him, those who come and see, they will check everything. They have it. So those things are available. I don't know what's the truth, but this is what he said. But this is what Bugin Abu also is saying in this video, among many of the Bugin Abu videos that we have. Have a look at this one.
Was it Ben Kofi? Ben Kofi. The contract was awarded to Ben Kofi, and Ben Kofi gave the contract to him. So it is not the contract me and him. We know about IGP giving him the contract. That contract didn't come. Look at what they are telling me now. So this particular contract, the job was given to Ben Kofi, and Ben Kofi also intend subletting it to him. So say, I say now. So tell me, are you still bringing any money for me to give to the boys, or what? Because you said you got some calls from even vice president or people to call you. Me, I don't know how they get your number. But me, I called them. I called your sister. Your sister told me the contract was ready. They are now going to produce production. Now I want to argue to say the contract was completed. If you don't want trouble, bring the money for me to give to the boys. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee you the problem can come. So he told me that today is Monday. He said today he's going to meet Ben Kofi, the person the contract was awarded to discuss it and see they can get some money. So it's not even a conclusion.
Okay, so let's see what the text messages are saying as we get ready for the Cocoa Stories. 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. What's the Cocoa Story? Stay tuned for that one. It's coming in a big way. And then thereafter, we have our big academic story about West Africa coup d'etats and all that. And I've had inputs in this story from other people who do not necessarily share our view of the matter. I will show you the inputs and where it's coming from so that we can have a holistic conversation about this analysis for the development of our country. It's called nation building. Let me go to text messages and see what we got. Who do I start with? Fatih, what are people saying?
All right, thank you, Paul. This is coming from Alex Tufo, and he's saying all that Dampare was doing at the committee was only looking for sympathy. It was surprising that he said he doesn't know Bugin Abu. But from the videos, what Bugin Abu said proves that they know each other very well. Coming from Fisherman Kenny said, I'm disappointed in the IGP for giving the police safety boots supply contract to an old Konkonsa man. Bugin Abu is now our new IGP since he's a good advisor. Coming from Sugri Jonas, he said, good evening, Paul. I must be honest and factual. You are taking journalism to the next level. Coming from Baba Chairman, talking from Tamale, he says, the NDC minorities engaged in nothing but popularism and showmanship. Coming from Adam Alhaji Jabri says, good evening, Paul. Please, was Akufo Dampare called to the committee to write myself? He didn't impress me at all. Coming from James Sarkomy says, why should Bugin Abu send a half or edited tape, and later on he's now claiming to give a full tape. Something is wrong somewhere. Coming from Junior Akbar Tamale, he says, Mr. Paul, you are too much. I think, in fact, what you're saying is making a lot of sense. The IGP should have consulted the president before bringing up the leaked tape. And lastly, coming from Kwame Otin, he says, well done, Paul. This is pure law, because if the president ignores the report, it shall go nowhere. The writ of mandamus can't even salvage this. Antoinette.
Okay, so here is what Kwame Hansen, he says, I said this earlier when this man was appointed. I said he cannot be a good IGP, because how can an IGP be frying kelewele at night and walking on the street? Baba Anya says, the IGP is not truthful to Ghanaians. Hope Bugri Nabu will do the needful when they meet in camera. What at all is in the second tape? He thinks Bugri is a fool. He will deal with him. Safianu Adam says, good evening, Paul. When the complaint, antagonist, or conspirator spoke, people find truth in some of their narrative. Some way people will find truth in Dampari's testimony. The bottom line here is the scale of the evidence that would be adduced against him, if any. Words are good enough to persuade people, but evidence is the best judge here, I think. Some of the issues raised before the committee are very serious, including but not limited to contracts and influencing peddling, etc. We wait to see how the big curtains get lifted over these issues. This is Safiano Adam Pusiga. Julia McLaverty says, very intelligent analysis. You're one of the few guys who is really objective and open-minded about this issue. James Sakum says, why should Bugri Nabu send a half and or edited tape, and later on he is now claiming to give a full tape? I think that something is wrong somewhere. On the Adwoa Safo's apology, Ibrahim Husseini says, I think Sarah Adwoa Safo's apology should be accepted, but she should not be voted as the PC for Domi Kwabenya again. However, the lesson in this is for each and everyone as a member of the party to note that there is no way that you can be bigger than the party, and if you try doing things on your own by thinking you are bigger than the party, a day like this would definitely come. Original Alhaji Yahaya says all the laws of the executive is made by the parliament, and therefore they cannot be changed, Paul. And lastly, Master Planner Junior, watching us from Kintampo, says, Mr. Paul, you are too much. It is always a pleasure listening to you. Today you didn't greet Dr. Dampare as usual. Angelo.
Okay, before Angelo comes in, somebody sends me a text about the IGP. It says that early 2022, 12 Nigerians, and I've seen this story before, we just have not been able to verify it. So it's part of our files, but we have not verified it. So that's why we haven't told viewers. But this is what the texter writes. We have the story. 12 Nigerians, including a pregnant woman, were arrested from the Buduburam camp in Kaswa, Liberia camp in Buduburam, and brought to the police headquarters with claims that they were bullion van robbers. They were all shot and killed under the mango tree. And he alleges in his text that it was the IGP who sanctioned it. We don't know whether the IGP sanctioned it, but we have seen this story. People brought from Liberian camp, and according to the story, they were shot under the mango tree. We don't know whether that's true or not, but we'll see. As we go along the line, we'll deal with it. Okay, I have this one from Anon, Domi Kwabenya Police Station, Domi Kwabenya Constituency. He's an executive. He says as follows: insincere apology from Adwoa Safo Sarah. This is a woman who disappears from the constituency as soon as we vote for her. She begged us once in 2012 when she left and stayed in America for 2 years. And after she stood for 2008 primaries, and we accepted. She begged us the second time in 2016 after she abandoned the party. In fact, she went on her knees and cried. We accepted. Then she went on her knees crying for forgiveness for the third time in 2020. We have had enough of the obviously manipulative and fake apologies. In fact, if it were not her new alliance with NDC from voting for an NDC speaker, unpardonable. I mean, we don't know that. We cannot say that the person is alleging that Adwoa Safo voted for an NDC speaker. The disciplinary committee with an MPP majority recommended she be removed, but once again, she was protected by NDC. That may be true. That may be more damning for Adwoa Safo when her constituency people feel that she had been protected by the speaker for not implementing the recommendations of the privileges committee. We hear her plea, but this time we cannot forgive her. She must apologize to herself and not even bother to contest. We are not going to accept her begging and apologies. Adwoa must go. is what they say. Anyway, we made that point that as far as we know, the constituency is fixed. They are united on getting Michael Quay Jr. in. Another message comes from Adam in Pusiga, Safiano Adam in Pusiga. He says, "Good evening, Paul. When the complaints, antagonist, conspirator spoke, people find truth in some of their narrative. Same way people find truth in Dan Parry's testimony. The bottom line here is the scale of evidence that will be adduced against him, if any. Words are good enough to persuade people, but evidence is the best judge, I think. Some of the issues raised before the committee are very serious, including but not limited to the contract and influence peddling. We wait to see how the big curtains get lifted off these matters," he says. Okay, that's very interesting. A few more coming, but let me come to you, Angelo. What are people saying?
Right. Citizen Francis says that I'm intrigued by the contract moving up who secures with the IGP. Could you kindly provide us with more information on that matter? Kamaldeen from Chirponi says that. Kamaldeen says, Paul, IGP's body language, when he was asked the last time he met Chief Bugri Abu, tells me he's not telling the truth. He should come again. This is according to Kamaldeen. Now, Aaron from Accra says the parliamentary committee that was set up to probe into the leaked audio or videotape is now becoming serious security issues of concern, which indirectly undermine our security intelligence, threatens our security network, and tantamount to exposing security strategies within the system. My point is, if the IGP is now on the radar, I think security elements or clauses within the Constitution should be amended, specifically sections that cover the Inspector General of Police's duties to put our security network in order, because he is there to supervise his subordinates to ensure that lives and properties are protected, but not to probe in whatsoever means. I'm not sure what that means. Junior Akbar from Tamil says, in fact, this is the reason why I always say that the show has come for us to learn a lot. Just see what advice Mr. Paul suggested to the IGP. I think he should have just gone to the president and suggested to him that this is how some officers are planning to remove me from the office. I think it would have been a good way without bringing up the leaked tape. Obor from Tamale says, I will personally walk from Tamale to Dome Kwabenya to campaign against Adwoa Safo. You deserted your constituents, but when they needed you. He continues, the lady still wants to contest. That has always been her strategy. I can't read the rest of this. Anyway, Dudes from Techiman says, we've heard from Adwoa, but we shall not forgive her. Well, back to you, Paul.
Okay, we have to take a break now as we get ready for the Cocoa story. But because you read that text that said that the body language of Dr. Dan Parry, let's watch that bit of questioning again. The question about Bugri Abu on Dr. Dan Parry. Let's watch that again. Come back to studio to me. I'll take a break and then we continue with the show. Those of you who are history scholars, wait for Bello and I, because we're going to mount the touch screen. I'm going to be making a thesis. Bello probably has an antithesis. Then we can draw a synthesis. It's going to be very intellectual and scholarly. Why are there coups in West Africa today? Why is there not a coup in Ghana and in Nigeria? We have been known for coups for a long time. Why suddenly there's a swing and the coups are happening in French West Africa is not happening a lot in English West Africa? That's the analysis we're going to make. And we're going to show you why we think this is not happening. We've received some counter-thesis, antithesis already that we will publish as well as part of our thesis so that it's fair and we all can work together and see how we can better shape this country. Yes, IGP's body language. Have a look. I don't know whether it's good, it reveals anything, but somebody texted and said the body language. Have a look.
That is so. Please, can you tell this committee whether you've met him one-on-one before? And if that is so, when was the last time you met Chief Bugri now? Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I can say I might have met him one or twice to the best of my recollection. And the last time I met him, if by my raw calculation, to be more than 8 months or thereabout.
Inspector General of Police, your physical contacts may be few. What about your telephone engagements?
The telephone engagement is along the same line as the physical contact. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158
can make sense of that body language. I don't have any judgment or verdict to pass on it. If you have any verdict, come to me. Somebody writes to me, quite very upset. He says, I am a constituent of Domi Kwabenya. These are the things I'd like to correct, Mr. Adumochi. Please read them. All right, I will. He says, the full name of our incoming MP is Michael Aaron Okwe. Okay, so he's also Aaron. Okay, you see, the nicknames, so sometimes I meet people in town, they say that, have you seen Sinagbeze? I said, what is Beze? I said, didn't you see his name in the graphic? I said, what is Beze? You don't know his name? I don't know his name. He said, Emmanuel Lacron. I said, Beze has a nice name like Emmanuel and he calls himself Beze. So because of the nicknames, we don't get to know. So we say Gabo. We don't know that his name is Michael Aaron Okwe. So that's Michael Aaron Okwe. That's what the guy is saying. He said, also, you got this wrong, Mr. Adumochi. Let me correct you. Okay, I'm willing to look at the correction. He said the voters were over 1,085, not over 400. Okay, thank you, corrected. He says, this year, the voter number has risen to 1,800. Do you know that Domi Kwabenya is the largest constituency in Ghana? Please make these corrections and tell everybody that Domi Kwabenya is united. I like the word you used. You said united. Yes, we are united, and we are going for Michael Aaron Okwe. He will bring back Domi Kwabenya to the glory days, and we will give Dr. Bawumia a resounding presidential victory. Hey, this one is serious. Okay, we hear you, Domi Kwabenya people. Hey, but did Adwoa Safo do some research in the constituency to determine how people will receive this thing? And she came to do this apology. Okay, a lot more to come. Cocoa politics and coup d'etat politics as well. After the break, this is Good Evening Ghana and it's live.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety. Creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Inside Black Star Press Limited, grow inside the invective minds, evolving concepts and the creative trends. The printing press you need now. Witness the beauty, diversity and natural wonder with our works. Inside Black Star Press Limited, in association with Lionhead Group of Companies. Call us now on 0200-880-000 for all your print works. Black Star Press Limited, a worldwide reputation for quality printing.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and elevators, the elevator people.
Betway is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
Are you? Masanabo, Masanaba. Say, you see, you go cashless. Say, cashless here. You say, you can be a wish office. You see, the power up or back. And also, another will be beer. Set up auto credit. Set up auto credit and no one issue. So, what problem be a person for after he answer overcome power up. So, and one on to us and be up. So, only smartphone and money how. And there's only data and so and it's new every. And one say, who bring your young phone. Oh, sorry. Who bring your phone. No one direct *226# You are through there. You see the power up no mobile money, Visa card, Mastercard, a BHP, you never see you see the power up. I want to show it down some. It's simple.
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for you and cover the makers in
The pneumatological abrasion of the Lord revealed unto me this night that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited. Up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasama Zongo Junction. Edike Pharmacy Dining. Oyer Fateman Boga Junction. Ashaman Valco Flat. Kumasi. Ahinema Kokobin. Asafubuachi Hospital Junction. Sakrani. Kuma. Number 9 Market.
Tell mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is John, and this is my long-time crush, my cookie dipped in strawberry yogurt. On this scorching hot afternoon on our way back from a long job hunt, we met this good Samaritan who offered us 6 weeks later.
A special wedding reception for our bride and groom.
And there she is, my cookie, dipped in someone else's yogurt.
Who holds the moolah, holds the shot. Play game by games, the easiest lottery to play and win. Big phone numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times daily to become one of our daily lucky winners. Dial *946# to play now. Or you can also play online at www.gamepackgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Okay, welcome back to the show and thank you very much for your time. Have you heard about some cocoa politics going on? Okay, one of the things that we've got right as a nation is the establishment of the Cocoa Board as a government institution that buys cocoa from the cocoa farmers. This was an idea that was dreamed by Dr. Dankwa. People don't like hearing that, but that's the fact. And the proposal to set up the Cocoa Marketing Board was that of Dr. Dankwa. That's a fact. So they used to call him a Kwafo Krache in the late 1940s and early 1950s. J.B. Dankwa had thought about this matter. That's why he was able to mobilize cocoa farmers' money for the foundation of the University of Ghana at Legon. All of those facts are available. Sometimes it's disputed, but it is true. Tonight, we are back on the cocoa politics conversation, and we are going to explain to viewers... We're going to explain to viewers the political matter. This is the logo of the ruling New Patriotic Party. This is the logo of the Opposition National Democratic Congress. Both of them have current leaders, but it would appear that one of them is changing their leader. New Patriotic Party is changing their leader, but the National Democratic Congress have the same leader. So the next slide is the leaders, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and President Mahama. We're going to look at what each of these people have done with cocoa. Truth is very, very important. Tonight, what we are doing here, we pledge to say the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and be critical of the untruth. We're going to be very critical of the untruth. Okay, so cocoa politics has happened, and over the last few days, couple of days, you've heard and seen on radio, cocoa this, cocoa that. NDC says whatever the government is paying cocoa farmers today, they can pay the cocoa farmers more, and they are paying them less. Why will any government approaching election will pay cocoa farmers less when that is the backbone of our economy? But that's an academic question. Let's get to the facts. So as we turn out the facts now, you will realize that the efforts that has been put in a cocoa farm like this from 2017 till now is significant, and is the reason why the future of the cocoa crop and the cocoa industry in Ghana is become bright again. The future of the cocoa industry was dimming. The light was going down. You remember that the budget statement of 2016 saw agriculture grow in negative, -2, -3, when they said the growth of agriculture, as reported to Parliament by the Department of Statistics, as captured in the budget presented to Parliament by the Honorable Setekpe, the Minister for Finance at the time, that agriculture under President Mahama was growing negative. I didn't say it. You didn't say it. Setekpe told Parliament that, Mr. Speaker, agriculture is growing negative. This is part of agriculture. This was growing in the negative 2016, and then came 2017. Currently, the NDC National Democratic Congress is concerned that cocoa farmers may be shortchanged even though the price has increased. So let's get to some more details about this matter, and then we can deal with it. So the fight has been, who is doing better with cocoa? Why are you paying farmers the way you are paying farmers? Okay, what do we have next? Okay, a few more photographs of the farm. This is a cocoa farm. Now we're going to talk to this guy, or he's spoken already. This is the yield of cocoa. We all know cocoa to have a gestation period of 2 years, isn't it? Now, viewers, I'm giving you the foundational information. I'll come to the details and answer the questions that is bothering you. I'm sure you are driving. You've heard the Samiji Mfi say cocoa is this, then Fifi Boafu says this, then Miracle Sabaji has said something. So you want to get the facts. What we are going to share with you is factual. All the time. Always factual. Okay. This is the cocoa tree. It is now yielding, by the work that government has done, is now yielding 2.5 years. We all know, I studied agric science in pre-sec in O-level. Cocoa's gestation period is 4 years. If you wake me up in the middle of the night and you give me a question. You know, O-level, we do multiple choice questions. And question number 52. How long is cocoa gestation period? 1, 2, 6, 4, 16. I will circle for even when I'm asleep. So I know it. Everybody knows it. Now, we are being told that the gestation period for cocoa is now actually 2.5 years. As a result of work that has been done by our research institutes, our extension officers, because they have been funded. All those cocoa institutes that were not being funded have been funded now since 2017, in the midst of the cocoa prices coming down. Now, cocoa prices have been plummeting since 2017, 18, 19, 20. They are now rising up. So that's the story. That is the important part of the story, and I'm going to get to the story now. The important part of the story is that cocoa prices have been plummeting, but now they are rising. Okay. So let's get to a few more details. Can we look at the plantain? Let me show viewers the plantain. You may not understand why I'm talking about cocoa and I'm saying plantain, but I'll show you something. Now, this photograph, can you put a photograph on the TV so they can see it? I wish they could. Now, this photograph you see over here, viewers, the white thing you see is plants that have been covered. And the entire span of what you see is a cocoa farm that has been affected by diseases, and government has gone in to cut down the trees for the farmer and also to burn and to harvest plantain, so that the plantain is planted with the cocoa to provide shed for the cocoa at the cost of the government. This was not being done before. This is new, and there's a video of a cocoa farmer saying it. So I'll give you an example. In fact, it's very interesting to notice. Okay, so let's get back to the cocoa picture. Now, what happens when swollen shoot occurs? Swollen shoot has been occurring since the 50s. It's not because of any government or any opposition that swollen shoot comes. No, swollen shoot is always there. Now, when swollen shoot occurs, what has been happening in the past is that farmers are told to cut down the trees that have been affected. Cut down the trees that have been affected. And then replant. And the farmers are giving seedlings to replant. That was not working. It wasn't working in the 2014, 15, 16. It wasn't working. You know why? The cocoa farmer has 10 acres, 100 acres, 50 acres of cocoa. By the time a cocoa farmer has 100 acres, he's about 65 years old, or late 50s, because he starts at 20 and he's doing 1 acre every year, 2 acres, 3 acres. That's how they cultivate like that. You can inherit it. I can inherit a cocoa from my grandfather, so I already have 80 acres. All that is available. But those who cultivate, it takes a long time to cultivate. So when you ask a cocoa farmer to go and cut the trees, you know what was happening, viewers? Apparently, they were not happy to do that. So they would rather give the farm to those of our friends, and they do galamsey. That's why you are hearing cocoa farms are turning into galamsey. Because I'm a cocoa farmer. Swollen shoot has taken the cocoa. I'm not going to get any money from it. The trees are dead. You are asking me I should take cutlass and cut 6,000 trees. I should cut it myself. And then you bring me seedlings that I should plant. Yes, it's my livelihood, so I'll do it. But now there's galamsey. So the excessive transfer of cocoa farms to galamseyers, which became a problem, was as a result of the policy that was not well thought through. Since 2017, what has happened? Now, give me back the plantain picture. Government goes in since 2017. All of this is just the introduction. I'll come to the details, viewers. In a minute, I'll answer the question by question, pie chart by pie chart. Don't worry, I have a lot of information. Now, here, government now comes in, cuts the trees for the farmer, plants the new cocoa for the farmer, plants the plantain for the farmer. Yes, there you go. This is the plantain being harvested, being cultivated, put in sacks. They are ready to go on plenty cocoa farms. This is an effort by the government that plants all of these plantains and takes it to the cocoa farm so that the plantains will provide a shed for the cocoa when the cocoa is growing, so the cocoa can grow well. As a result of that, this is verifiable. There was excessive plantain on the market. And so when the crisis came, Osofri Akoto, the agri minister, brought plantain to Accra and said, go and buy it for 5 cedis, because all the cocoa farms that had been rejuvenated had too much plantain. It wasn't intended, but it became useful at the time when food crisis occurred. So when we are talking about systems that think and work, this is what we mean. And I hear on radio people saying that there's been a lot of corruption at Cocoa Board and they've stolen money, and we were going to deal with all of that. So this is the plantain. Okay, now let's get to the story. So give me the story. Let me start with the story. So what is the story? Okay. The story is like this. President Mahama's administration had raised a loan of about 1.8 billion to be used for the whole year cocoa industry 2016-2017. Now let me explain something to you again, viewers, something that I found. Cocoa, oil, commodity trades are all traded in the future. Commodity trading is done in the future. So you have oil. The oil that the oil that you sell tomorrow, the oil that you ship out tomorrow has been paid for today. So I explain. So in the commodities industry, they meet at a central point, say cocoa, and then they agree. What's the price of a ton of cocoa? Let's agree. Buyers, sellers, brokers, banks, they agree. And industry. And they say the price of cocoa from October 1980 to August 1981 will be $3,000 per ton. That means 16 bags of cocoa. Let's not a ton confuse us. 16 bags of cocoa is 1 ton. So for every 16 bags, it will be bought for $3,000 all over the world. 16 bags in Brazil, $3,000. 16 bags in La Côte d'Ivoire, $3,000. 16 bags in Ghana, $3,000. 16 bags in Burkina, $3,000. 16 bags in Libya, $3,000. The cocoa futures have agreed that $3,000 is for 16 bags, 1 ton. All right. what happens at the meeting then is that buyers rise up, Balikalibo, this and that, all the companies, Cadbury. They say, Ghana, how are you going to do it? Ghana says, okay, I will sell you, I have 700,000 tons. I will sell you 500,000 at this price. The rest, I will keep it throughout the season and see how the price goes. But this one, I'll sell to you. So this is October 1980. And then they say, okay, you'll sell us 600,000 times 3,000. How much do we owe you? We owe you X amount of money. Maybe we will owe you $1.6 billion. Okay, here is a paper to show that I owe Ghana, out of the 1.6 billion, I am Balikalibo, I owe Ghana 2 cedis. This one, I owe Ghana this, I owe Ghana that. Ghana has all those coupons, they call it. They put the coupons together, and then they march to HSBC Bank. HSBC, all of these companies will pay me 1.8 billion. Can you give me 1.2 billion now so that I hand over these papers to you? HSBC says, why not? I'll do it. That's when you see the graphic. Cocoa Board gets 1.2 billion from Cocoa Futures. Cocoa Board syndicated loan, 1.something billion. And you see presidents go to session address. Mr. Speaker, last year, we were able to secure the highest in the cocoa bond loan, and they say, yeah, that's what you hear. So that cocoa that was discussed is still with the farmer. It's with the farmer. But government has already sold it. So government then comes in and say, farmers, give me the cocoa. I'm buying it. So legally, they are buying it anyway. They buy it legally. It's illegal not to sell to them, right? That's what I mean. So they collect it and call Cadbury. Your cocoa is ready. So we are shipping it to you. So they ship it. So that's what has been happening. So every year, we do that for tomorrow. So the price that's announced this year is a price that we are selling. We will take the price and already sell it. So by the time a new price is being announced, we have already sold it. That's how we do it. So we take the money today to give them the cocoa tomorrow at today's price. So by the time we are giving them the cocoa, the price may well have changed. But we have already sold it, and that's how oil is sold like that. Everybody sells like that. You don't sell all, you sell a majority. So that you can plan. That's the purpose. It's not illegal, it's not corruption, it's just so that you can plan. So when a price is announced today, it is about yesterday's price that we have already sold. Today's price, we'll pick it up from next year. We have agreed on today's price, and we have sold the next year one at today's price. That's what it is. So we are yet to now come to the farmers and collect the cocoa and send it abroad. That's the simple matter. With that understanding, let's get back to the touch screen. The outgoing Mahama administration had raised the loan to the amount of 1.2 billion to be used for the whole year in the cocoa industry, 2016-2017. However, the December 2016, the whole amount of money had been used up. So the new government, which came in power in 2017, had to apply for new loans to service the cocoa industry. I'm not sure why these matters were not thought about as legal infractions one way or the other. But this is the story. 1.8 billion that had been... You see, it is about this that I used to say, and some of my friends in MPP were very angry with me in 2016. Because I was saying that, look, this election, they are always better to end in the second round, though. They say, hey, don't say that. Hey, you pa, we are winning, we are beating your mama first. So I say, listen. Me, I've been doing this work for a while. A person knows on December 10th that he has lost the election. He is there till January 7th. Charlie. In America, when the election comes, you hand over before the voting, before the November 3rd or 4th or November 5th election. It is gone to a certain state institution. They are managing the process. So you can't give contracts, you can't take money, you can't do anything. They will do the transition handover until January 20th. But you can't. Here, it is not like that. So I was telling them, Charlie, if an individual in the government knows on 10 December that I have lost the election, I'm not coming back, I don't think they'll manage the finances well. I don't know whether there's an example. I don't know. But these are the facts. 1.8 billion that was taken for the purpose of 2 years, 16 and 17. When 16 elections came, By the time, in fact, they found out that by the time of the elections, there was 400 million left. Even that they thought it was too small. How did you spend 1.8 on cocoa industry? What was done? And then they point to some warehouse was built. It's something people think should have been built for $2 million. It's built for $12 million. All that kind of thing. We don't know whether it's true or not. But this is the report. Okay. Now, the 400 million was also spent before the end of December. They always find something to spend it on. Cocoa this, cocoa that, they can spend it on something. Even a film or something, they can spend it on anything. And there was cocoa roads and all that. So the money was spent. Done. So when the new government came in, they decided that we have to go and borrow. But cocoa is a commodity. So you always do well with cocoa when the international commodity price is up. You will do badly with it if you're a producer of the crop when the thing is down. And guess what? The map has been showing a downward in the cocoa pricing in 2017, 2018, etc. We'll get to the map, but let's go on. All right. So it says that the new government, which came into power in 2017, had to apply for new loans to service the cocoa industry. At the same time, the global cocoa market had witnessed the prices of cocoa falling. Hence, government was not able to recoup enough profit. Government still, however, had to pay cocoa farmers and service cocoa scholarships without making enough income to balance payments. And they didn't complain. I didn't hear Cocoa Board MD, Mr. Edu, complain. I didn't hear Agric Minister complain. They didn't complain. They just buy the bullet and spend the money on the people. So they said the cocoa price was going down. But farmers know how much they are paid for the price. So you can't come and tell them, as a new government, the price has gone down, so I'm reducing it. You can't do that. You can't. So they didn't do that. In addition, you have to keep the cocoa industry running. So they started borrowing, because you can borrow and if the price goes up, you will be able to recover the debt. So borrowing is not wrong there in this circumstance. Let's move on. At the same time, the swollen shoots disease came and ravaged cocoa trees. Government had to pay for the infected trees to be cut down and replanting exercise be undertaken. This was necessary to prevent the farmers from selling the lands to galamsey miners. All this was done on the backdrop of low international cocoa prices. Cocoa farmers tend to selling the same plantains they planted to give shade to the cocoa seedlings because they were broke. This is very interesting. So this is the point we're making. Then came swollen shoot disease. So a very, very unlucky NPP administration in the cocoa sector. Very unlucky. Now just seeing a bit of glimmer of sunshine, but been very unlucky. You inherited the cocoa industry, the last indication of 1.8 billion, gone, finished, vanished. It's not there. Zero. You now have to quickly take a loan at a time when you shouldn't be prepared to take a loan. You take it, cocoa price goes down. Then you get the loan in, you pay farmers. Swollen shoot disease comes. And the swollen shoot disease comes, you are hiring people to go and cut the trees for the farmer. You are paying those people. And you are also giving the farmer seedlings. And you are planting plantain so that the farmer doesn't lose. Do you know what is even more? What is even more that was done? Those farmers, and this is all factual, those farmers who didn't have a land of their own, those who were renting, they were at the risk of losing the tenancy. Why? Because the cocoa price has remained as it is. You don't even have the trees to get the 16 bags per ton. You don't have the trees. Even if they are paying per ton $1 billion, you don't have trees. You have run out of business physically. And therefore, you can't service your rent. You see, because they can't service their rent, the government paid the landlord. This is factual. Government of Ghana went into the cocoa farms with Joseph Edu leading and says, oh, as I said, oh, there, said, Mr. Adomoshe, how much does he owe you for? Hey, this guy owes me 4,000 cedis. He hasn't paid. Okay, will you please take 3,000? Okay, I'll take. Here's your 3,000. Chief, cocoa farmer, you two, you have not been able to sell any cocoa. So how are you managing? He said, oh, I'm selling the plant. Okay, here's 1,000 cedis. This was done. I don't know why the government does these things and they don't announce it. I don't understand. I mean, something like, I hope the cocoa growing areas are aware. I believe that the radio stations in the communities talked about it. But something like this should find its way to Parliament so that people can hear. The right-wing governments always have this problem of not, because they think they've done it. They think they've solved the issues. Why are you now going to broadcast it for what? That's how the right-wing governments see it historically. But they must change that, because There is a lot of vile propaganda in politics these days. So you do something like this, you have to quickly go and say it. But they didn't tell us. But they did it. So they sustained the farms, they kept the farms, and they also kept the tenancy agreement, and they kept the farmer, whilst waiting for the trees that have been cut and the trees that have been planted especially to rejuvenate under the shade of the plantain. This is what has happened. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I put on the other slide, and that's they'll put on the other slide, and we go on. Oh no, it's nearly 11. Sorry about that. Hey, are we going to be able to do this story? It's nearly 11 o'clock. Okay, now the conversation. Who pays cocoa farmers more? The conversation. Who pays cocoa farmers more? So how are cocoa farmers paid? International price 16 bags is equal to 3,000. So you can run it down to one bag. How much is one bag being bought? So assuming we get one bag in that situation for $80. They are buying one bag for $80. Government goes to the farmer and buys that one bag from the farmer. The conversation at this stage of our editorial is to check who has been paying farmers more. Is it John Mahama, the former president? Is it Nana Akufo-Addo's government? Or is it Kufuor's government? Who has been paying farmers more? We have to realize that we cannot use figures in this conversation alone because the figure changes. So it could be a high figure, low percentage, high percentage, low figure. So it's the percentages that's important. Percentage of the FOB being the price at which government is receiving it. What has been the average? The data is available. FOB and that NDC averaging about 65%. Meaning 65% of money government gets from the selling of a bag of cocoa goes to the farmer. So under the NDC, 65%. Just yesterday, NDC were in power just yesterday. It's not too long ago. Just yesterday. For the period of if you average it from 2013 in particular to 2017, 65%. Whatever government got, it gave the farmer 65%. Whatever government got, it gave the farmer 65%. Okay. End of the former administration, the bag was 47 cedis per bag. Currently, cocoa farmers were getting 47 cedis of that 62%. Currently, it's 1,300 cedis. Don't worry about the figures because the value of 47 may be higher than the value of. I understand that. I get that. So don't worry about the figures. This is just figures you keep in your mind as we move on. Know though that 65% is what the John Mahama administration paid to cocoa farmers averagely. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Now, there has been a 175% increment in this analysis from the last end of Mahama administration 475 up here. It is 1,308. So there's been a 175% increment. You can put the inflation situation from 2017 till now and see whether the 175% has eaten it up or not. Okay. Now let's get to the other one. Currently, 83% is being paid to the farmer, meaning 83% of the money government gets from the selling a bag of cocoa goes to the farmer. That's the current situation. To all intents and purposes, 83% of the FOB is better than 60-something percent. But the people who paid 60-something percent are telling the farmer that the one who is paying you 83% is bad. I would have done better. Let's have a look at this as well. Please put this on the screen so they can see it properly. So this is the representation. This is the graphic representation. So the international market is giving X amount of dollars to the government, represented by the Jubilee House in the center of your graphics. Now, Jubilee House is giving the cocoa farmer 83% of that. Whatever government is getting from the international market, as at the calculation of 1,300 per bag, and therefore 20,000 cedis for a ton, the farmer is getting 83% of what would have been going to the government. That's the representation. So that's a simple story. That's a simple story. Please put back the photo of the presidents, President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo. So that's the story. So President Mahama here and his people are telling the cocoa farmers that when we were in office, we paid you 62% of the FOB. 62 average, if you check. Sometimes it's 60, sometimes it comes down. So the average, if we work it out, 62. We worked it out. We paid you 62. Now, Nanado says Nanado is averaging 79 or so. I didn't put that. Please get that figure for me. The average before this year. He's averaging about 79, but forget about that. This year he's paying 83%. Now they are saying that if it was us, we'll pay you more. We paid you 62. They are paying you 83, but we would have paid, it's percentage, so it's not a figure. It's 62% of what I got from international market. I gave it to you, the farmer, says John Mahama and his people. However, Akufo-Addo, whatever he got from the international market, he's giving you 83. But I'm telling you a lie. If I was in government, I'll give you 90. So you see, don't vote for them. Vote for me. I gave you 62% of what I got. He is giving you 83. But wallahi, I'm telling you, if it was me, I'll give you more. That's a problem we're going to have in 2024. Because John Dramani Mahama has been president before. So he has a record. A clear, unambiguous record. President Mahama has a record. President Akufo-Addo has a record. So with John Mahama, it's very easy to cover the campaign as a news reporter. Because here John Mahama says, I will give you more cocoa farmers. And then quickly we go and check, what did he give? Oh, the spreadsheet is beautiful. It just pops up like that from the computer and you expand it, and then you put color in it and it's getting nice, You put color red, blue, and then you see it. It spells itself out. I gave you 62%. President Akufo-Addo and his people are giving you 83%. But I'm telling you, if you vote for me, I'll give you more. For 4 years, we can call it 8 years, but for 4 years, I average on 62%. But they are giving you 83%. Don't worry, I'm telling you, wallahi, they are bad people. The 83 they are giving, they could have given you more. They are lying. That 83, it could have been more. But when it was my turn, I gave you 62. But I say I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And this time, I think I'll give you more. Forget about the 83. I will give you a lot more. But I'm coming back. I'll give you more. Viewers, this is the story. This is the story. So NDC says, I'll come to the bills. My producer is telling me you haven't discussed the deficit. I'll do that. I'll do that again another time. We'll probably put some graphics together as well. But let me say this, and then we will be allowing you to do that. Bello, sorry, I don't think we can go on this our story. We'll pick it up again. Don't worry. But viewers, forgive us about having to postpone and reschedule this story so many times. Sometimes these things happen. Okay, so the final conversation about this is this. NDC are saying that the price that was announced, which they know will take effect from next year. They know, they are aware, they are fully aware, 5,000% aware. Why are they aware? Because this is what Ghana has been doing since 1992. Every year we do the futures. Every year NDC has been. The NDC started it, 8 years of them, futures. Kufuor came, 8 years, futures. Mills and Mahama, futures. Akufo-Addo, futures. But Mahama says, no, I want to come back. So I'm telling you, even though I know that we've been doing futures, they should pay you the price today. Don't let them deceive you with their 83% FOB. When I come back, I'll give you more. This is the politics. This is how the politics works. So this is the cocoa story from what we know. And if you know something else, you can please tell us on social media or send a text right now. If you agree with us, you can send a text right. If you want to know the source of the information with which we put all those graphics and slides together, we're happy to share it with you because it's public document. It's public document that anybody can find. So we are willing to share with you. But this is the story. This is how it goes. Let's see the text messages. What are people saying? Get ready and let's deal with it.
All right. This is coming from Benny Salves, and he says, hello, Paul. But if you don't know what amount government receives from the world market for a ton of cocoa, how then do you know the percentage given to the farmer constitutes 86%? Coming from Richard, he says, Paul, John Mahama is a former president and not a president of Ghana. Currently in Ghana, we have only one president, you and I know. Coming from Citizen Francis, he says, Cocoa farmers are celebrating the government's decision to raise prices from Ghana cedis 800 to Ghana cedis 1,300. Yet the opposition NDC seems dissatisfied. It appears that the NDC is opposing simply for the sake of opposition. Coming from Safianu Adam says, "Good evening, Paul and your crew. In 2011 and 2012 cocoa season, the NDC government wickedly increased the bag of cocoa for only 5 Ghana cedis. Only 5 Ghana cedis, so, and it's on record today. NDC speaks as saints and friends of our farmers. To NDC's surprise, the farmers are grateful to NPP government because, aside the unprecedented increase, their wards are also enjoying free education." Coming from Junior Akbar Tamale says, "Never jump a process. All processes are important. NDC is not an option to this nation. Follow the movement." And lastly, coming from Kankam Kenneth, he says, "NDC in the first place shouldn't have reacted to the new cocoa price at all because it's the best in our history as far as farmers are concerned. They think they can play on the intelligence of our cocoa farmers. Mahama is again desperate for power." Internet.
So here's what Dennis Edusa has to say. He says, "As for Ghana, everything is politics. If not for that, how can an increase of 68% not be a good news? Inflation is about 45%. You will still have a surplus of 23%. How can we even argue about this? Well done, Nanado. You got this right." Lily Will says, "Mahama and his NDC supporters think that Ghana cocoa farmers are fools like their caliber supporters, right?" Isaiah Prestige says, "John Mahama is childishly bleeding. Cocoa price was 475 Ghana cedis under John Mahama, but he is bitter about 1,308.99 Ghana cedis. The alternative is indeed scary." Nana Oheneba Abredu says, "What Apostle Paul is saying about productive enhancement program is very true. I am a worker in that sector." Isaiah Prestige stage, "Good evening, Mr. Paul. The committee chairman, Mr. Samuel Atta, frustrated the IGP with harmful questions, so the probability that the IGP will go back on 2nd of October is very, very low. So I am sad about that." Angelo.
Okay, Kamal Dean from Tripoli says, "Good evening, Apostle Paul. NDC national executives were some few months ago in Assin North promising cocoa farmers between 1,200 and 1,500 for a bag of cocoa. Today, President Akufo-Addo is buying 1,300 and they're running here and there. I believe their communications directorate is suffering from I can't pronounce this word, sorry." Sir Brian from Tantra Hill says, "Maybe Paul can use 10 cities or 100 cities for the analysis. 62% of 100 cities is 62, 82% of 100 cities is 82. Moving on, Gina Akbar from Tamale says, "NDC for you, because cocoa prices are going up, and they're in a position, they have come to talk like this government is cheating the farmers. But I'm happy the cocoa farmers know them better than we do. They always pray that everything in this country goes backwards so they will come and take over." Well, Akbar, your message has been read. So this message says, "Good evening, Uncle Paul. Today is my birthday, so wish me Ishmael Opare Nyante from Takrade happy birthday." Sure.
What's his name again?
Ishmael Opare Nyante.
Ishmael Opare Nyante.
Yeah.
Today is your birthday. You are watching our program. One day when I see you, I'll give you a nice good evening Ghana car like that. Thank you very much for watching. Happy birthday. God bless you. When you come to Accra, look for us, and then we can celebrate your birthday properly. To all our people watching, anyone who has a birthday this month, today, tomorrow, happy birthday to you. Okay? God bless you. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, so let me just finish quickly. So it says that your suit reminds me of my noble society. Is called Catholic Church Knights in St. John's International.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay, so viewers, I've been called on a correction. Is it? No, it's 70. It's 70, not 75, 70. 70. So they're going to change it to 70. So I've been corrected that the figures are different. The principle is still correct. That somebody was paying higher than the other. That's correct. So under NPP, it's 70% is the calculation that I've just been called to be told that the calculation is 70% of NPP, and then where's the other one? And then 65. 65. That's what I wrote here. 65%. 65%. So anyway, so 70 and 65%. So let me rephrase everything I said. Same thing. Okay, so now put back the heads of states photograph there as I do the analysis. Again, once again. That's the last thing we're doing before we get off. They'll put it on very soon. Yes, there they go. So President Mahama back on the ballot. President Akufo-Addo saying bye-bye to the nation after hopefully 2 terms. Okay, now President Mahama is saying on cocoa that, and I like that analogy, he makes about 100 cities, but we can't use that because it's not always 100 cities. That's the big variable in the equation. It changes. That is the international market price. It can stay for 2-3 years, but it changes. So it's a variable. And so that's why we can't say 100 and then that. Yes, but you can use 100 to understand what I'm saying. He pays you 65, say average 65. He's paying you 70, average. So 70. So if he's getting 100, he's giving you 70. If he's getting 100, he's giving you 65. If he's getting 1,000, he's giving you 700. If he's getting 1,000, he's giving you 650. That's the average he did as president. And that's the average he is doing as president. But election year has come. And cocoa politics is about this time of the year. So cocoa farmers have been told, cocoa farmers, come. Good news for you. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo says that now your 1 bag of cocoa, we should buy it for 1,000, so and so. So your 1 ton is 20,000. So if you have a farm and you give us 1 ton this year, 1 ton is 16 bags, 20,000. So if you have 500 bags to sell, that is the money. And they are celebrating. As soon as they finish the celebration, John Mahama comes and says, what did he say? He's giving you what? 70%. When I come, I'll give you more. But I gave you 65 when I was president. I gave you 65. But don't worry, when I come back, I'll give you more than the 70 that he's giving you. He said, when I come back, I'll give you more than the 70. He's giving you 70. I gave you 65. Same equation. Me and him are sitting at the same place. President. Cocoa board. Cocoa farm. Cocoa this, cocoa that. International price. Same. I was going to say no COVID, but if I say that, they will kill me, so it's okay. No, forget about COVID. We're all the same. Then I gave you 65. But I'm telling you, wallahi talai, that if you vote for me, the 70 he's giving you, I will surpass it. I'll give you more. But I gave you 65 when I was with you. You know me. I gave you 65. He's giving you 70, more than I did. But if you vote for me, I will do better than the one that he is bringing. The one who gave you 70, he can't run for elections anymore. He's going to bring you a candidate. Whatever candidate he brings, if it's Dr. Baumia, I'll do better than him. But when I was president, I was able to give you 65. There was no COVID, there was no Russia-Ukraine war, there was no crisis, there was no anything. There was some small doom, but I gave you 65. He became president, the cocoa price was down, Solin shoot came, he had to spray, he had to do this, Ukraine war, COVID. He gave you 70. But the person that he's bringing somebody. Me, I'll give you more in cocoa. That's the politics. That's how it works. Is that also? That's how it works. Let's have a look at Adwoa Safo's video and then we'll be wrapping up on this show. Please, let's go back to where we started. Sarah Adwoa Safo has apologized. For what? To whom? And why? Have a look.
Me pesa me fa kwenye iso ede echo pakesiye ede ma me party for the New Patriotic Party. Any party mpanyimfo. Yedi kan mampanyin Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo. Na bedi eche the Vice President. Ye maame the Chief of Staff. Honorable Frema Osei Opare. Majority Leader. And the entire leadership of Parliament. Minuanom Emrashe Bedrafo Majority Caucus. Me pese me fa kwenye so epamu nyina chew. Enwe bi a etwe mu. Eniye bi a efiri me ho ebaye. Ese me sere mo se enye ni da ho ena enye madwimu na na mesi ne pi sesebe me de monim betwitwiri fom. Eniama bebre na na ekoso ewo mabrabo mu ene mabusie mu. Me fa akwenye so de Nyankopon din sere mu nyina. The regional executive, Greater Accra, the constituency executives, our chairman goes to Eda Anu, the headquarters of New Patriotic Party, the general secretary, any national chairman, any wapanfunina, the pamunina show, supporters, sympathizers, our munina modo party no, our namodomi, ɛwɔ ahyehyɛmu kɛseɛ ɛwɔ yɛn mpɛsua ne mu no mepa mo nyinaa kyɛw nea si biara momfa me bɔne ɛnkyɛ me sɛ mpanyinfoɔ bu baabi sɛ wo ba ɛgya ne nan gu wo nan so a yɛntwa ntwene na sɛ yɛpepa nea aba biara Nyankopɔn din srɛ mu nyinaa me din de Adwoa Safo mmarahyɛ badwani a megyina hɔ ɛde ma ɔmanfoɔ a ɛwɔ dɔme paapenya Nyankopɔn hyira mu nyinaa.
She said, Nyankopɔn hyira mu nyinaa. The more join your fan. Let's take a round of text messages and then the weekend will begin. Okay. Let's hear you, Fatih.
Right. Coming from Alid Omar, he says, Paul, in fact, Honorable Adwoa Safo is even making us more angry. How on earth can we forgive you when you fail to tell us what exactly you were doing in the US? Paul, the truth must be told. And the truth is that Honorable Adwoa Safo thinks we are the people in the party has a short memory. As John Mahama told us, Adwoa Safo should give us a break. I'm a lady watching you from University of Education. Coming from Asia Committee says, Adwoa Safo has done the NPP more harm than good. What is she apologizing for? Coming from Atta Bernardi says, the initial response from the cocoa farmers in relation to price increase was massive, so the opposition party needed to react. Coming from Mashoud Yakobi says, NDC gave free fertilizer and NPP is selling fertilizer. Coming from Street Africa Evans, he says, at the 65%, the economy was far better and cheaper, and during Mahama's time, the rate was very low. Antoinette.
So Victor has a message for Paul. He says, Paul, you missed a big opportunity to discuss the president's speech at the Bar Association. Not too late though. I'm still waiting on your take. Mohammed Yusufa says, Adwoa Safo thinks that everybody in her constituency is stupid except her. Why is she apologizing now? Kofi Nat, Adwoa Safo should leave us alone with her useless crocodile tears. Apology. We have already made up our mind for the next two domain. Lastly, Godfred Boatin says, it could be true, Paul, that Adwoa was the one who voted against Prof. Aaron Mike Quay because she had to battle it out with Speaker's son, Mike Quay Jr., prior to the 2020 primaries. Angelo?
Okay, before Angelo comes in, let me take this one. It says, Paul, Dampare failed to acknowledge that COP George Mensah was the best cadet for course 30, which he, Dampare, also attained 2 years later in course 32. George Mensah is a member of the Ghana Bar Association and a chartered accountant. He's a solid intelligence officer. Okay, well said. Yes, Angelo?
SK Suglu says, good evening, Apostle Paul. You're really an institution to learn from. Your analysis will kill the NDC and John Mahama. That's quite strong. And Sir Bright says, the government employed 1,000 extension officers in 2017 alone and added another 1,000 later to help with these cuttings, pruning, and education of farmers. And he attaches the link for an article. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, so I had a good conversation with my senior Kuku Bako this evening, just before the show. And Bombay, if you are watching, good evening. So he sent me a text, and he sent me the flyer of the cool story. And he said, I don't even understand what you want to achieve with this. Something like that. So I called him. He said, oh, my brother Paul, what is this cool story? And we spoke after that line cut. We spoke all together for about 45 minutes. And I wish viewers could hear the conversation, the analysis. And he drew my attention to a few things. I just told Kweku, my producer, that we are going to make it part of it. When we have done our presentation, we'll give the counter version that this is what Kweku Bako said. It's just a beautiful conversation. I really want young people to be having that conversation. It's good to talk about Manchester United. I talk about Manchester United all the time. It's good to talk about other things. I talk about other things. But if you are young, engage in conversation that stimulates your brain, so that you won't go on Facebook and go and say somebody's Adwoa Safo, that's all you are typing is the Adwoa Safo. No, you type on Facebook and say, no, I disagree with you. The consequence of this action was not about this. It was about that. It was about that. It was about that. That's what I know. He will come back and say, yes, I hear you, but I think that you are wrong on this one and this one and this one. That's a better way to grow. You will grow as a better human being yourself than as soon as you take your phone, oh, fool, something, cash out, stupid. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. Because when you say stupid to somebody who doesn't read comments, he doesn't know you said that. You were angry when you said the stupid, but he's not angry. He's happy that Real Madrid won their game and he's eating some Nkatinkwanya or something. So it's just advice. If you don't want to take it, it's entirely up to you. Thanks for watching, viewers. And thank you to everyone who watched. It's a weekend. Hey, who are Manchester United playing? Mikhail wouldn't know. They are playing Brighton at the Old Trafford. Please, I'm looking for those who can give me a ticket for the Manchester United versus Manchester City game at the Old Trafford, please. If you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Just, what do you say? I want 2 tickets. Ibrahim Zebila, the sports editor, says 2 tickets. Thanks for watching, viewers. Good night.